Good morning, leaders. Welcome to this episode zero, where we discuss actually the concept of the podcast. So, this is Good Morning Leaders, the irreverent, bold, unfiltered leadership podcast to help you move your career to the next level. So, the first thing that I think is important for the audience to understand what is this podcast all about. It's to help the community, wherever you are, professionally, even personally, to move your career to the next level and giving you, insight tools that will really help you getting to that next level, if it is what you want to do, right? So let's explain a bit how we're going to do that and the format. It's a bit of a not unusual, but slightly different format. So basically, and I hope and think that we will be able to publish every Tuesday and every Thursday what I call walk in the park. So it's not going to be me here at the studio right now recording something, but it's going to be me walking in the park, wherever the parks are across the world, and for very small time, asking a question to you, the audience, and say, hey, I thought about this topic that is, of course, related to leadership, and say, hey, do you want to talk about it in depth during a podcast? And then you vote. You vote whether or not you want to discuss this topic, or if you don't want to. And furthermore, maybe you have really a strong opinion and say, hey, not only I'd love to hear about that, but I'd like to participate. And then we can exchange on what is feasible and if we can have you on the podcast. So let's walk in the park, one on the Tuesday, one on the Thursday. I look at the votes, and depending on the votes, then we start thinking about producing the podcast about the one that you voted for. And the podcast themselves and video cast will go online on the Wednesday. So Tuesday, Thursday, walk in the park, less than a minute, putting a topic on the table. You decide whether or not you like it and you want to talk about that further. You also want to raise your hand saying, hey, I'd like to be part of that podcast. And then we can discuss having you on stage with me here. And then we go and record. Now, remember what I said: irreverent, bold, unfiltered. What does that mean? For those of you who worked with me in the past, the irreverent part is not a surprise. I'd like to treat very serious issues with a slightly irreverent tone because, hey, I don't like people who take themselves too seriously. So it's time to be a bit humoristic about things that, can be too serious at times. So that's the irreverent part of the podcast. Bold, I want things to be discussed in a bold way. No shadow, no politically correct. It's like, hey, let's talk about the topic. Let's not avoid some of the things that at times are hurting and are difficult to address. So it has to be bold. Unfiltered, I promise you, there's not going to be a lot of cut. We may suppress some hums and hims and homes here and there, but I want the thing to be and to feel like a live event. And actually, probably we're going to do some live event at some point if people want to. That's going to be pretty cool and pretty fun if we do that. That's the format. That's how we're planning to do. It's going to be both available on all the usual podcast platform, Apple Podcast, Spotify, but also video cast on the YouTube channel that some of you are already following. And I'm strongly encouraging you to follow if you want to see the faces of the people. And max 30, 45 minutes. I think that after that, it gets bored. If we want to go further on one topic, then we'll do different parts, part one, part two, part three. But I think that more than 30 or 45 minutes, even in the car, even in the plane, is a long time to stay connected. So these are the principle of the good morning leaders. Of course, you can see where the aspiration and inspiration comes from in terms of the title. Love that movie. Love that actor. I really, really like to have that kind of same tone but also discuss very, very serious topics. So I hope you liked it. Some episodes are going to be great. Some episodes are going to be less great. It doesn't matter as long that it helps you. All right. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Bye.